Hey guys, this is Keith from LifetimeWarrior.com, and I've been asked a lot of questions over the years about how to actually influence people more. Now, why do you want to learn how to influence people? Well, if you're in business, that usually means more sales. You can influence people to go the direction you want them to go. And as a leader or a mentor or even a coach or a trainer, if you can influence people, they're going to start moving the direction that you hopefully know better about. And you're going to start getting them to make the decisions and the choices that you need them to make. Okay, so I'm going to tell you my 5 tips on how to improve your influencing skills. Okay, tip number 1, don't just listen, acknowledge. There's a difference between actively listening and passively listening. Listen to what they're saying, and not just what they're saying, but how they're saying it. Okay, when you can start to show a little understanding and a little appreciation for what they're telling you, people will start to trust you a little bit more, and they're going to be more receptive to meet you halfway, at the very least, with what you're proposing for them to do. Now, step number 2, or tip number 2, ask questions. When you know the direction that you need to go, you can either tell them exactly what to do, or you can start asking the right questions, the right series of questions that will eventually lead them to the answer on their own. And when you can do that, that's going to help you do 2 things. One, it's going to help you get them to the direction that they need to go, that you want them to go. But it's also going to start to build another level of trust with you as a coach, as somebody who's teaching them and mentoring them. Even if you're the boss, or they're your employee, or they're your sponsor, whatever it could be, or you're their sponsor, it doesn't matter what. When you start to develop that level of trust, they're going to listen to what you have to say. Especially because they feel like they're being taught rather than just talked to. Okay, tip number 3, talk about their interests. When you start learning more about the other person, you can start to develop an understanding of who they are, where they're coming from, and you can start to build on those common interests that you may have with that person. Okay? When you can do that, you can understand a lot more about the other person and help guide them or influence them the direction that you want them to go. Now, tip number 4. This is a big one a lot of people forget. You need to learn to understand the real differences. Don't just dismiss them. If you have differences with another person, that doesn't mean you can't influence them. You just need to understand what the differences are between you two, and you have to acknowledge what they are. Even if it's not verbally, you as a person need to understand that not everybody's the same. And in understanding that and understanding why you're different between these people, you can then avoid the headache and the backlash later on, and avoid the mistake of just saying, okay, you know what, I'm tired of this, just go do what I tell you to do. Okay? That's not influencing people, that's ordering people. That's a completely different thing that you need to work on. Okay? Now, the last tip, number 5, get clear on your position with the other person. And that includes, what are the next steps? What do you think? What do I think? What are we agreeing on? What are the next processes and steps that we need to go through to start reaching that goal that I want you to go through as the influencer. And this is an extra thing that you need to remember, that when you're going through this last tip, you have to appreciate the other person and show that appreciation. Regardless of the eventual outcome, or the outcome at this point, show your appreciation for their time, for their effort, for their knowledge, for whatever it is. Show that appreciation, and it's going to eventually help you build even more trust with that person. Okay, so those are my 5 tips on how to improve your influencing skills. Remember, you've only got one lifetime. Go fight for it.